What's going on, guys? It's your boy Andy Matrix. So, 2024. Since the beginning of 2024, we've been talking about Japan and how Western influence is infecting Japan. And something that was very popular last year was ESG. Actually, no, in the past few years, ESG has been talked about a lot. You know, and ESG, in case you don't know, is basically how investors, in order for a company to get money from investors, they have to give into the idea of ESG, which is basically, environmental issues, social issues, governmental issues. They have to, the investors want to see these types of things in the products of the companies, right? So, and this is where we are in our modern day. However, there seems to be people that are smart enough to pull out of those things. Like recently, I made a video about how millennials and Gen Z investors, people that have money, they're pulling out of ESG companies and investing into things that actually make money. Because in case you haven't noticed, out of all the videos I've made, a lot of this ESG stuff doesn't work, and what ends up doing is either just bankrupting the company, like the company just starts to lose money, and then they just start to you know they start to fail. People abandon the products. They stop purchasing from the company. They start abandoning the products and services of that company, and eventually they just, the customer. It scares away the customers. It scares away the customers. You understand? So I'm here at the Bloomberg.com, and it says, "Damn it! Why does it?" Okay. The Bloomberg.com says investors in Japan drain 4.5 billion as they exit ESG funds. So the Japanese investors are pulling their money from ESG funds. Foreign stock index funds have gained popularity. So they rather, if you don't know anything about like the stock market, finances, investing, you don't have to know much about that to understand that what is happening here is that these investors in Japan, they're looking at ESG and they know this is not profitable. This is stupid. Let's get our money out of here, and we're gonna put our money in something else. We're gonna put our money in a foreign index fund that will give us some dividends, some return on investment, right? Which is a term that you guys should understand. Return on investment, right? The problem with ESG, and as we've seen in especially in entertainment, is that companies invest into ESG, and then companies like Disney, they have to add all this nonsense, all this rainbow stuff to their movies and TV shows, and it ends up scaring away the customers. And this is true not just with entertainment, movies, and TV shows, but also with like retail, with a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So let's go ahead and read a little bit of what's going on here in Japan. So it says investors pull a total of 660 billion, which is 4.5 billion from funds last year, according to the research in Morningstar, which is, I'm guessing that's the investment firm. That's more than 4 times the outflows of 150 billion yen in 2022. The shift due to investors favoring mutual funds focus on specific investment themes rather than sustainability goals related to ESG funds. So ESG funds boom in Japan with total inflows 1.3 trillion yen, which is that's probably about, I'm going to say maybe like $100 billion, somewhere along the lines of $100 billion, right? Now investors are more interested in areas such as foreign index funds and also retail, right? So it says rather than being a response to investors' demand for sustainable investment, ESG was seen as a theme. As a theme. But if you think about it, he's kind of right, because what is ESG? They just want you to focus on things like climate change, the rainbow community, diversity and inclusion, things of that nature, right? It says Daisuke Mori, the director manager of research at Morningstar Japan, says investors are still pouring money into mutual funds and outflows 11 months of the last years. So the outflow of capital, ESG funds hammering the industry growth. Yeah, so what does this mean exactly? What does this mean? Does this mean that now anime and manga and Japanese entertainment, Japanese video games, is it going to be safe? I don't know, but it's a freaking start. You see, if people sort of just navigate to where money flows, right? Where money flows, everybody goes. So now that these investors are seeing that the ESG bullcrap doesn't, it's not very profitable, they're going to take their money and bring it somewhere else, right? So when other Japanese companies and Japanese people, when they start to see this, what they're going to do is that they're going to veer in that same direction. So is there hope here? That there's definitely hope. There's definitely hope that this is something that is actually going to happen. Is it going to happen immediately? No, we're probably going to see more investors in Japan pulling out of ESG within the next 2 to 3 years. The more of this nonsense spews into Japan, they're just going to keep pulling out of it and pulling out and pulling out and pulling out. And eventually the money's gonna flow somewhere else. If it's not gonna, I don't know exactly if it's gonna like flow out of anime or into or out of anime, but eventually I believe that it will. If this continues, if investors and companies continue to pull out of ESG in Japan, then we can see more, than anime and manga and Japanese video games can be safe. So I'm being very honest with you. And, honestly, this whole thing is not very complicated to understand. When it comes to investing, the stock market, once you study it a little bit, it starts to make more sense. So I actually encourage you guys, to look into this. So the article is on, you can look up the article. It says investors in Japan drain 4.5 billion as they exit ESG funds. I recommend for you guys to Google it, educate yourself, do a little reading. And that's gonna be it for this video. Whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below. Make sure to like this video, share this video with other people, spread the message. And everybody, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. It's your boy Andy Matrix. Godspeed.